Just on dog matters, Minister Fitzharris, at 3:13. Obviously, the issue of rehoming Canberra greyhounds is going to be a big deal with the government following New South Wales's lead in banning greyhound racing. Has the government now got a clear plan as to how it will rehome greyhounds and what sort of strategy or procedure it will follow?
Oh, it's a great question, and we are working very closely with stakeholder organisations in this space. We're looking to have a stakeholder forum very soon, particularly with animal welfare organisations, about how we might go about doing this. So we're looking to do that in the next couple of weeks, probably in the next month, to have that stakeholder roundtable, because there's some really good ideas. We know it is something that we need to be looking at. We've been talking consistently with animal welfare organisations since the decision was made. We'll have a roundtable in the next couple of weeks, probably over the next month. We'll pull all these ideas together and then we'll take it from there.
And you would have seen the Canberra Greyhound Racing Club's call to maybe reverse the ban, at least in part, and consider other changes to the industry. Is that a call falling on deaf ears from your perspective?
Oh, look, we have made a policy decision and we will be working with the stakeholders, and I know Minister Gentleman is working with the industry itself, and collaboratively we're also working with animal welfare organisations to find the best path through now that we have made this policy decision. That is something that we can certainly look at, and we certainly are always looking at other jurisdictions in terms of the way they go about implementing something, and we will look to the decision that Tasmania has made in the context of having the stakeholder meeting in the next month. But
the ban itself will stand regardless of what the Canberra Greyhound Racing Club wants or is claiming for?
Oh, look, that's currently the government's policy position, yes.
Meegan Fitzharris, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Meegan Fitzharris, the Minister for Transport and City Services, on a new dog park being established in Western Creek and the call of the Canberra Greyhound Racing Club to reverse fully or in part its ban on greyhound racing following New South Wales' lead. Minister Fitzharris confirming that will not happen. That is the government's policy, and in the next week or two there will be a significant meeting with a series of people involved with the industry, including animal welfare experts, as to how to rehome all those greyhounds that will need an alternative home once the ban comes into full place. Kel Watt has called in on 1300 681 666. He has worked with the ACT Canberra Greyhound Racing Club and is speaking on behalf of them this afternoon. Kel Watt, good to speak with you.
Yeah, good day, Adam. Thanks very much.
What is your interest, first of all, in the Canberra Greyhound Racing Club? Why is it that you are advocating for them?
Oh, look, my own personal background is that I really had only seen the greyhounds through the eyes of the Four Corner program, but was asked to come and have a chat and do some consultancy work with them. And it took me about 5 minutes to realise that these guys are pet lovers. They've got nothing but the best at heart for their dogs, and things like live baiting they find disgusting. And so I was brought in to do some work for them.
To effectively try and keep the industry going here, is that your role?
That's right. But I've got to tell you, it's gone from being just a job to something I feel incredibly passionate about, because I can see what a rough deal they're getting. And the reason I've rung in is I have been really impressed with I know Minister Fitzharris, I know Minister Gentleman and the Chief Minister well, and they've always had a great commitment to consultation and process. But throughout this whole debacle with the greyhounds, they dropped the ball completely. And I just heard Minister Fitzharris say that they're talking, having consultation with the different stakeholder groups. They're going to have a round table. But Adam, the fact is that the New South Wales government made the announcement that they were going to have a ban on the 7th of July. About 2 or 3 hours later, the Chief Minister put a post up on Facebook, despite not having read the report from New South Wales, saying they'd follow suit.
You know that he didn't read the report?
Well, if he must be a speed reader. He was overseas on diplomatic duties at Wellington during the Sister City negotiations. The report's nearly 1,000 pages. He must be pretty remarkable to have done that.
Or had access to a briefing prior to it being officially released?
Well, given that the New South Wales Liberal government members and National Party members didn't receive a briefing, I don't know why the Labor Chief Minister in a different state would be getting one.
Okay.
But that aside, he put something up on Facebook. Minister Gentleman, as Racing Minister, tweets something, and the next bit of correspondence we have is I hear Minister Fitzharris then saying we're having consultation and a round table. Do you know that there's 50 jobs on the line? These people face their livelihoods being wrecked. They have not done anything to breach animal welfare standards in their entire 37 years of operation. And it's an absolute insult to run government by Facebook. the minister stands there 5 minutes ago on your station and says, we're consulting, we're going to have a round table. We've not had an email, we've not had a phone call, and we're yet to even have a meeting. So I don't know who they're talking to, but they're certainly not talking to greyhound owners and people that are going to lose their jobs and have their industry wiped out by this decision.
Have you or the club approached the Chief Minister's office or Mick Gentleman's office to have a place at that table?
Well, the first we've heard about this round table existing was 5 minutes ago. So, no, you can't ask for something that you doesn't know exists.
I presume you will be now, though.
Well, I'd hope so, but given the form on this, God knows. So, it's a bit of an insult. The last time we heard from Mick Gentleman, he was on one of the local TV stations saying the reason I haven't met with the Greyhound Club is because I've been too busy getting more information, consulting with the RSPCA. Well, I'd ask the government to stop running government by Facebook. Stop hoping that we might be sitting at Twitter waiting to see what the next move is. Why don't they come out, look the people in the eye there and lose their jobs, lose their dogs and lose the hobby that they love? They're animal lovers. They have done the right thing for the entire time since the doors of that club have opened. They have nothing but the highest standards of animal welfare out there. What's going on in some parts of New South Wales has disgusted the greyhound community here in the ACT, but the facts are that there's not been a single breach in the entire operations of Canberra from day one right through to today. We have an opportunity here to actually have the sport go ahead, be a world leader in animal welfare and actually contribute more to the economy, but the government won't even talk with us. I think it's the most insulting and unprofessional way to run a government, and I can tell you what, every community group or sporting organisations out there right now should be very worried about the precedent this has set. Because if the government or somebody decides they've got to set against you, you'll have things ripped away from you and you can't even get in the door to have a conversation with it.
Mr. Watt, that is an interesting point to make, and I would challenge it in thinking that you believe the ACT can still run a viable greyhound industry just by a mere fact of our geography. How can you prevent dodgy operators from coming into the ACT if it still operates here when they are banned in New South Wales?
Well, very, very simply, actually. So the ACT is surrounded by New South Wales, of course. The New South Wales legislation, if it goes through, and it looks like it will, is going to make it illegal for anybody in New South Wales to own a dog or breed a dog or train a dog to race elsewhere. So it means that we have the opportunity here in the ACT to have a standalone facility. We can have kenneling, training and full supervision under 24-hour, 7-day-a-week CCTV supervision. In Tasmania, just over the last couple of days, we've had the government, the RSPCA and the greyhound industry get together, nut out an agreement that would see rehoming and other animal welfare standards introduced. That's a really good model. In Canberra, our geography, rather than work against us, is going to work for us. We're a small territory, so we can actually have all the animals in one spot.
Will that put pressure on us, given we're a really small territory? If the resources currently are set up to support the industry as it stands, if you see a big inflow and influx of trainers from New South Wales, won't that put our infrastructure under severe pressure?
No, the existing infrastructure can actually, at the moment, we race one evening a week on a Sunday afternoon. Nice, humble country sort of setup. We're moving to a Wednesday, so we're going to have two a week from now on. Now, that course sits there unused, so you can run 7 days a week if need be. Now, obviously, you do visual maintenance and things like that, but there's plenty of space out there. Now, it's a really good question, Adam, but the reason that yourself and others, and definitely the government doesn't know this, is because they haven't even bothered to pick up the phone and say, what's the future? What does it look like? How can we step ahead? They're very simple. They're very good questions and thankfully very simple ones to answer. So we're in the luxurious position that the Canberra greyhound scene can not just maintain its great record of animal welfare, but offer guarantees, 100% guarantees that no one else can. And in fact, the moment that you buy a puppy or a kitten or a bird, you walk away from that breeder, we don't know what goes on. So animals are obviously mistreated all over the place. Thankfully, it's the minority.
Yes, but you're talking about an overall industry, even though it's not in the ACT, that has come under severe criticism with the evidence that's been put forward.
Sure, but you're talking now, the ACT industry, though, is accountable for what goes on in the ACT.
Sure.
Now, we understand reputation can be damaged by what goes on elsewhere, but I'm sure you see some journalistic standards feel that it impacts upon you. I know that I've got friends. I'm a mad football fan. When I see a football player misbehave, my heart sinks. I've got friends who are cyclists. They see drug use, their heart sinks. People that love their sport only want to see the best. And greyhound racers and greyhound owners are exactly the same. So, yes, they're disgusted by what's gone on elsewhere. But the fact is, in the ACT, for nearly 40 years, They've kept these people out. They've done a great job. They have zero tolerance. And why should the ACT industry suffer for what's gone on elsewhere when they have an absolutely clean record and it can provide a pathway to the future that's going to provide more jobs and actually bring more money in while raising animal welfare standards?
An argument I'm sure you'll be making to the ACT government in the lead up to the election. Mr. Watt, we're out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Kel Watt is a lobbyist for the Canberra Greyhound Racing Club. He's taken on board their cause of trying to keep greyhound racing going in the ACT, despite a government decision just weeks ago to close down the industry and rehome existing greyhounds in this region within the next year to year and a half. And naturally enough, you'd imagine he and the racing club will be attempting to speak with the government to change their view on this. It sounds like, from what Minister Gentleman has said on Drive and also Meegan Fitzharris just 10 minutes ago, that they will not be for changing on this issue, but time will tell. In the next 1 to 2 weeks, a key meeting with a number of stakeholders and interested parties on the future of greyhound racing. Meegan Fitzharris speaking about that on Drive this afternoon. 3.